Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn all the most efficient, powerful, abundant ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent, increasing revenue year over year. I cover topics from pricing, sales, networking, objections, ideal clients, some marketing ideas, and really about how to increase your cash flow and profitability and set boundaries so you have the firm that you've always dreamt of. You're no longer giving away your time for free. You're no longer putting yourself on sale, and you are being paid for the value and worth that clients actually appreciate you for. So you'll learn tips and strategies as well as hear personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm of your dreams and the life full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is co-founder of Profit First Professionals, and he's also the managing partner. He has over 15 years of experience in managing organizational growth and built multiple companies in the staffing industry prior to launching Profit First Professional. Our special guest is Ron Saharyan, who lives in New Jersey with his wife, Mary, and their daughter. And he also has the most beautiful garden. If you go to Facebook, you can see pictures of it. It is awesome. So I'm super excited to have Ron here on the show. And before we get started here at the Abundant Accountant Empire, I've really discovered what it takes to build a successful accounting practice, truly full of clients who are happy to pay you what you're worth up front, not in the rears, and never have accounts receivable again, and really learn how to be detached from the emotional side of the sales process. So you can have these massive paradigm shifts and really propel yourself forward. So if you are truly wanting to end the grind where you feel constantly frustrated, stressed, have no control over who you work with and how much you really charge, then make sure to grab our simple 5-step process over at the 5stepstoabundance.com. And this is really where accountants go to learn the ways to grow their firm. Again, it's 5stepstoabundance.com. And it will help you gain the 5 things that you really need to have the confidence to ask for higher fees right now. So it's complimentary. Head on over to 5stepstoabundance.com. You can either put the number 5 or spell out FIVE, stepstoabundance.com. Welcome, Ron, to the show.
Thanks, Michelle. Glad to be back.
I am so happy to have you back here on the Abundant Accountant Podcast. I think we should make this at least an annual event because you are amazing. We have the same mindset as it relates to growing top line sales and revenue. And we can't really have profit if we don't have that. So before we start, can you share with everyone who you are? Quick 1 minute.
Sure, no problem. My name is Ron Saharyan, and I'm co-founder of Profit First Professionals. Our organization is a membership organization of the most elite accountants on the planet. To this date, the Profit First brand is the largest profit brand with small businesses, and that's as the Small Business Administration says, under 25 million. So that's what we do.
Awesome. Well, I am very happy to hear that and very happy to be here with you. And yes, you have amazing accountants. And, you know, if you're thinking about, and I'll just do Ron's plug because he never likes to, but for every single accountant I've ever worked with who's a Profit First professional, you're missing out if you're not a part of their organization. So you should go and apply right now. But anyway,
well, thank you.
Today we are going to talk about a few different topics, obviously all related to sales. But, you know, I know that you've been doing a lot of webinars and there's a lot of Profit First professionals having success and no success. We're going to talk about value pricing. We're going to talk about when we give away information for free to try to prove that we actually know what we're talking about, and then wonder why none of our prospects ever really enroll. And
right. How come I'm not converting the prospects?
Yeah. And honing in on why really free doesn't get us anywhere as accountants. And it actually doesn't get your clients anywhere. Because I'm sure a lot of you have come to realize that clients come back. You told them all this free information. They didn't implement anything. So that is what we're going to talk about today, and why actually having higher prices helps your clients get the results they're looking for. So, yeah, Ron, so why don't you share with me? I know you had a story then, and I think a story would be great to just lead us off, because you dealt with someone yesterday before we started our podcast episode. He's like, this is perfect topic, Michelle. And I'm like, I know.
It's very timely, and I notice this whenever a firm or a new salesperson is selling something new, or a new service offering from coming out of an accounting firm. Right? They want to justify the value and the worth of this new program, regardless of what it is, or they're looking to grow by adding additional consultants. I mean, not consultants, customers, if you will.
Yeah.
And so it was funny. Yesterday, I was actually having a conversation with one of our members, and he was struggling. Really struggling. He says he's having great conversations with prospects. They're scheduling. They love what he's doing, but he's not turning them into paying customers. And so I'm talking with Joe, and that's not his real name, but we're going to use the name Joe.
We'll talk about Joe today.
Yeah, it'll be Joe. And so I'm like, all right, Joe, so tell me a little bit about some of the questions that you're asking, some of the positioning that you're doing. And as Joe was sharing with me, I was like, holy cow, he's giving the farm away for free. Literally. And I understand that, yeah, we want to give. That's different than providing a solution, right? And so, the issue was that he felt, because he was so new in the world of Profit First, but not in the world of business. The guy's a phenomenal business guy. He's a great coach. He's a great accountant. He's a great financial advisor, all that stuff. But his confidence level regarding Profit First service offerings was not there. So what he was trying to do was justify the value of this additional program by having multiple conversations with the same prospects, by working with them on a particular issue that they had, and then trying to spin that into a maintenance or a continuing type of relationship. And he couldn't do it. He wasn't doing it. And so by listening to his questioning, understanding where he was coming from a mindset, he had a lot of the right elements, Michelle, but they were scattered. And his number one issue was he asked a great question, listened to the answer, then opposed to say, okay, I understand, thank you very much, and moving on to the other one, he would then drill down. Tell me about that more. Drill down even deeper. And he'd find himself in a conversation solving that problem and providing a solution versus identifying multiple problems, identifying multiple wants of the organization, writing them down and tying it back to the end of the conversation that says, hey, from my understanding, you're looking for XYZ PDQ. You need help and clarity with systems, profit, blah, blah, blah. Awesome. Right?
Yeah.
I know I can help you.
Right, without actually solving it right then and there.
Exactly. And so I think the issue is that, we can solve the problems immediately, but our job, I think, on a prospect call is to show the value and the benefits of working with us. And that's key, by working with us. It doesn't mean we're on a phone now and I'm going to solve your problem. It means, let me show you the value. Let me relate to your experiences. Let me share with you that I've had other customers that we've navigated these choppy waters successfully through.
Yeah, like sharing some other case studies. And I think the real thing too, what was going on with Joe, and you tell me what other successful Profit First professionals you've seen done well, because we've both seen it. But not only was one of the challenges, he kept justifying the value, but he would hone in on just one problem and drill down so much that he got in asphyxiated mode. I don't even know if that's a word, but I
don't know either, but it's right.
It's right? And, I've worked with so many accountants. And so, and we both do. But we get really into that fixing that one thing. But I think, like you said, one of the solutions that we can all take away from today is, what if you have prospect meetings and say, okay, I'm going to come up with multiple problems and not tell them any about how I'm going to solve it? Because I always preach that consultants are people who get paid. So if you're saying you're a profit first professional consultant, you're doing profit coaching, well, did you get paid yet? Because until you actually have the payment from the client, then you're not consulting. You're actually just a nonprofit organization, I guess, donating free advice. And then you're wondering why these people aren't paying you for the top dollar service that, Ron and the team are teaching you.
Right. Yeah, no. And it's it's a common thing I see with accounting firms. They're so helpful. I mean, our members genuinely, honestly want to help their customers to the fault, and their prospects as well. And so it's learning to pull back just a little bit, right? And capture the information and give them enough to want more.
Yeah. And how would you do that? Let's break that down, because I know everyone's listening. They've got their yellow notepad out. They have their pen, and they're like, okay, Ron and Michelle, this sounds really easy, but clearly it's not working for me. I keep doing work for free, or, better yet, I'll take payment once I help you save this money and help you grow your profits. Then they're doing things, in the future, you're getting paid. It doesn't make any sense to me. So what if we break it down? What are some ways that you found, maybe 3 things that the accountants can do to, yes, be really helpful, because we are, however, not be so helpful where the client is like, well, tell me more. And then that's where they have to engage with you.
Right. I think there's a couple of things. The top 3, one would be to have some sort of a framework that your prospect calls are going to follow, from breaking the ice to understanding the current situation, to understanding what they want to achieve in the business, to understanding, what some of their personal goals are, to also finding out what the priority and commitment to working with the professional actually is. And so if we follow that little framework there, that's a good framework to have, because you're going through a sequence. One of the things, however, though, is how do we stop ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I do, and I suggested that Joe did, write a little note on his little on his monitor, or on his yellow piece of paper, on his prospect interview form, that says, one question at a time, listen and move on. Acknowledge and move on. So if I were to say to you, Michelle, has the business afforded you and your family with the lifestyle that you intended? And if you said no, I would say, okay, well, what would you have liked to done a little bit more of? And say, for an example, you might say, well, if I did earn more money, I'd like to put more away for retirement. Okay, great. So if I understood, one of the important things for you to do would be put more money away for retirement. Yes, exactly. Awesome. Boom. Move on. Versus saying, all right, Michelle, well, here's a solution what you can do. You can take a predetermined percentage of this. You can open up this account. You can do this, and blah, 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 and give them the solution right there. Right? What I'm saying is, okay, that's important to them. Next, what's important? Another thing that's important. What's another want? What's a pain point? And then at the end, when we're tying it all together, we can say, hey, from my understanding, funding your retirement is paramount. Next would be this. Next would be this. Next would be this. I know we can help you. But before I go ahead and generate a proposal, what is the priority and the commitment to you making this change? Right? If you could close them over the phone on the call, great, awesome. But many times, right? But many times they want to see a proposal. They want a little bit of time to digest. But if that's the case, then I always ask, what is the priority of this and the commitment? And if they say it's a top priority, drill down more. Well, what do you mean? What is your top priority? Well, I got to implement this in an ERP. I got to hire somebody. Okay. Well, then it's clearly not a top priority. If they do say, yes, it's a top priority, well, great. If my proposal meets your liking, are you ready to start tomorrow? Whoa, start tomorrow? No way. I've got to go on a vacation. I got to do this. I got, this going on. And so we're really at the end also assessing the situation for the validity as to how hot this prospect really is, because there's a lot of people kicking the tires trying to identify what is a better accountant and bookkeeper than what they currently have.
Yeah.
And so I would never want any accountant or bookkeeper to go through an hour or so generating proposals. They have a great sales call, everything, only to have that prospect ghost them because it wasn't their top priority and they weren't committed to going. But that's a whole different topic. But back to what we were saying, yes, having a framework, having smart questions, okay, and learning how to bite your lip and not continue to go on and on and on.
I know. And, I have this problem as well when it comes to biting my lip. And one of the things that I do is I have half gallon of water, or, there's a mute button on your phone and you can hit the mute button. You can have a sip of coffee, because a lot of times we just talk and talk and talk and talk. And when we talk and talk and talk, we start answering people's problems with solutions because you know it. You know what to do, but they haven't paid you yet to do that.
Right. One of the things, too, I've noticed is that a lot of prospects want to know what we're doing in our business to live the lifestyle, right or wrong, right? And so really being able to position yourself and share what you're doing in your business to achieve, or what you've done in your business to overcome what the prospect is feeling, is also paramount to sharing versus selling.
Yeah. And sharing is huge, because this is how you do it without being pushy, without being like a nag or bothering them, or being like, feeling like that sleazy feeling. One other thing, Ron, for those that maybe read the book Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss,
Great book.
Great book, but in the framework, asking, why us?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you interested in working with us? And he calls that the proof of life question. And this question is very powerful, because at the end of the day, when you get to the priority and commitment part that you were sharing, if it's not real, if they're telling you how great you are and that they did all this research on you, and they're sick of their current accountant and they really want to grow their bottom line and their profitability, and then they come to you and tell you that at the priority, well, I got to do this first, I got to do that, we got to go on the vacation. Well, it sounds like you're not really that committed.
I love that question. Why us?
Yeah.
It's a really good one. Well, and that can be at the beginning or the end of the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you hear about us? Why did you decide to pick up the phone and give us a call? Why did you, how did you find us? And that all adds to the tie back of, oh, as you mentioned, yeah, you heard from Joe, or you've seen that we're a certified profit first firm. Awesome. Any indication, like you said, Michelle, that they've done a little bit of research, again, that's pretty darn good versus, hey, I just Googled and you were the first one that came on up.
Yeah, because we want people who have done the research. And I know Chris suggests asking that question up front. I actually like to ask it at the end of an enrollment conversation.
Right. I could see that as well. Another good question that I forget if it's Ed Kless or Ron Baker. I know there's a lot of smart guys out there and ladies out there that have great questions, but how would you evaluate a successful engagement? At the end of 6 months, what are some of the, how would you determine that our relationship has so far been a success?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What is their perspective of success? Because it might be very different than ours.
I think that's a great question, because every single person, especially on my other podcast, Success Unfiltered, I would ask them, what does success look like to you? Everyone's is different. Some are financial. Some are, I just want to work part-time, kick my feet up, go watch Netflix. travel the world. Everyone's definition of success is different.
It'll also give you an indication of how you manage that client. If the client's like, well, success would be you and I having a conversation every other month. I have clean and accurate books. The financials are updated regularly. And that's a lot different than, I just don't want to worry about anything. I just want to trust and know that it's taken care of, and that if I talk to you quarterly and everything is great and everything is up to date, awesome. That's good. Inquiring to how they perceive a solid relationship, right? What does success look like from their perspective? Because it's how you manage a new customer really varies based upon their needs. Do they want a lot of frequency of contact? Do they want strategic meetings? Do they, want to have very little to do? But it's understanding their perspective on how they're going to be weighing or valuing or judging the relationship is key to be able to, be in alignment with that perspective.
Yeah. And then they can have a successful engagement at the 6-month mark when you check back in.
Right. And you know what? You might be an accounting firm that says, no way, I'm not talking to my customer every other week. I talk to Carol, my bookkeeper, every other Thursday at 10 o'clock. That's a lot. And so, there might be firms listening here that says, no way am I talking to that many people. Well, okay. Well, if I'm a prospect and I say the frequency of, strategic conversations, I'd love it to be biweekly. If you're not able to do that, if you're not able to commit to that, don't take me on as a customer.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
It's very true. And you know that up front in your prospecting call, discovery call, whatever you want to call it. Let's go back to Joe, Ron. So with Joe, it clearly wasn't working. So what did he change? And I'm curious to know if you even know how many conversations or prospects he lost because of it, like to quantify how giving away
17.
He lost 17 prospects, and the average revenue of 17 for what he was offering was what?
Probably about 10,000
per person.
Mm-hmm.
An annual revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he lost 170,000 of revenue.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially, probably more. But worst case scenario, by trying to solve their problems right then and there.
Yeah, one of the issues was he wants it so bad that he can't say no, and that is one of the worst things in the world any business professional could operate like. And so he was sharing with me that he's been talking to this prospect for literally 3 months, and the prospect has doubled their revenues by working with him. And he's like, when is she going to sign with me? I'm like, she's not going to sign with you. You already did the work. I know. Well, I wanted to show her the value of working with me. Well, congratulations, you did. But you've been conditioning her, to get this advice, right? Solid advice for free, no matter how much you might want to discount the engagement to continue on with her. She's not going to see the value in it. You've already, laid down what what your, how should I say, what's the word I'm looking for? The expectations.
Yeah, the expectation is if you charge her, she might look at you crazy. What are you talking about? You just did the work for me. How? Because the consumers and clients and people like me, we don't know. The client was conditioned to not have to pay. So when you ask to pay, they're going to look at you like you're kind of crazy. Like, wait a minute. I mean, I thought we're talking every couple weeks. I thought this was part of my tax returns or whatever other things that you were doing. I think the clients know that nothing's 100% for free, but if they're doing pretty good and now you come and say, oh, well, it's $3,000 a month to continue on with me, you've lost her. There's no value anymore. She probably feels and thinks, well, I got what I needed. Thanks so much.
Right. Right. Well, it's tough. It's tough because, we really want to help. We really want to engage in the new services that we're offering, and we want to be successful. But, never want something so bad you can't say no. And I'm not opposed of sharing great advice. I'm not opposed to that at all. But this is how, I recommend people do it, even with a current customer.
Okay, let's hear it.
If something is outside of the scope of what the working relationship is, I hate saying no. But I also know by not saying no, it could have an adverse effect on the profitability of this particular customer. So I'm more of the, hey, first one's free type of guy, right? So if somebody came to me and they said, hey, Ron, this PPP thing, I'm not really, sure about it. Is there any way you could, help me navigate, file it, this, that? I would say, you know what? Sure, I'd be more than happy to take a look at it. However, if this turns into me doing filing, me spending more time than just, an hour talking with you and navigating it, then we're going to have to change our agreement, or I'm going to have to charge you for this work because it is outside of the scope. Right. So it's always like the first one's free. If it's little, great. Okay, no problem. Hey, do you think you can, send something to somebody? Sure, absolutely, Ron. No problem. However, that's not really what we do here. I'd be more than happy to do it for you this time because you're a great customer, but this really is outside of the scope of what we do.
Yeah. And I think that being upfront and open about that, I think a lot of times, we're scared and we fear losing the client. You have bills to pay, you have a team to pay, you have rent, you have your overhead, you have things, and there's nothing worse. What does Chris say in the book? There's nothing worse than a bad client, or I don't know. It was a really funny saying in his book, and I always remember that. There's nothing worse than a bad client, and the ones that try to get everything for free, or the ones that you keep doing extra work on the front end. I like your philosophy of just one thing.
Yeah. First one's free.
Yeah.
If you don't, if you just say yes, do it. Well, again, you're setting yourself up to give away more stuff. And you can always say business owner to business owner, this is really outside of the scope of what we're doing. I'm more than happy to help you out. But if this turns into a regular reoccurring thing, well, then we're going to have to adjust our operating agreement or our working relationship agreement, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, I like that. So let's go back to Joe. What happened? What was his shift? What did he change? What does the new Joe look like today?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him today. Literally, this literally was yesterday. But what Joe did was, what I tasked him was doing was to realize that his value is already there. His value, is in the working relationship. And so I said to him, well, what would the conversation look like if you were working with her? And he goes, just like we are now. Okay, well then don't do that. Don't do that. Right. And then stop because you're giving it away. So have your framework. No, it's like if you're doing something, that's the first step, right? To identify it. Then you can work on no longer doing that. So I suggested that he role plays with his mastermind. He role plays with his staff, new prospect engagements, his partner, his business partner, role play with that gentleman so that they can also aid and guide you like, hey man, Joe, you're going way too much. Time out, stop, back up. And that's how you're going to get great at overcoming an issue is by practicing. Enjoying the journey of practicing, enjoying the suck, if you will, right? So that you do eventually get better. And I guarantee in a couple of months from now, Joe's going to be having great, shorter conversations, and he's going to be landing great paying customers just by making that simple shift of not going on and on and on about solving the issue.
Yeah. And just to add to that, 170,000. So I would ask Joe, or you could ask yourself once you quantify how many people did not engage with you and you're wondering what is going on, that's a lot of money. I would ask Joe or ask yourself, if you had 170,000 in your bank account right now, what would you do? What's your vision? What's your personal goals on why you're trying to grow your top line revenue, increase profitability, and implement everything, that Ron and Mike talk about in the book? Like, why? What is it for you? Because I would like to know what Joe's motivating factor is, because $170,000, I call that like an opportunity cost. That's a lot of money you're leaving on the table. That's a lot. That's more for retirement. That's a down payment on a second home. That is significant.
It's also a very good mistake that he's learned from, right?
Yes.
That's a $170,000 mistake. That's worth almost any college degree out there, right? To learn what you should not be doing. And he knew he was doing it. People know they're doing it, but they just need a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of support and a little bit of being able to practice to ensure that, they're not giving it all away, that they're not shooting themselves in the foot, but they're actually sharing value and benefits of what's to come by working with them.
100%. And I think, to sum it up, honing on the free advice, doing things for $0, not getting engagement letters signed and with a clear scope on them, doesn't get us anywhere. And it doesn't really get your clients that far either, because Joe's example with the company that doubled profitability, well, it sounds like they implemented stuff because Joe did it for them. But a lot of times when we give away some free information, there's no monetary value attached to it. So it's similar to, someone who wants to lose weight, for example. You can take this quick, easy pill. It's only $9.99 a month. So for $10, they probably won't do anything. They'll take it. They're not going to exercise. They're not going to change their eating. And they're going to wonder, well, why didn't it work? And to do the hard work, to eat right and track your food and drink a gallon of water a day and exercise and move, that takes a lot of work.
It does. But here's the thing. Price also dictates perception. Right.
Yes.
And so, I share an example that, say, Michelle, you and I are walking down Main Street, Boonton, New Jersey. We come across a jewelry store. We go on in it and you see a beautiful necklace. You're like, you know what, Ron, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to take a look at it. And you see that it's $25. You're like, no problem. You buy it. It's great. You bring it home to California. Maybe you misplace it or something happens to it. No big deal. Maybe you'll call me over here in Boone and say, hey, Ron, get me another one. Right? Now,
get me three.
Get you three. Right, exactly. Now, if that same necklace, well, let me back up a little bit. You'll know it's not real platinum or gold. It's cubic zirconia. It's nice. It's nice costume jewelry, right? But if we go to that same store and we see that same identical necklace is $10,000, if you buy it, I guarantee you treat that better. I guarantee you're not going to misplace it. You're going to lock it up. You're going to bring it out for special occasions. You're going to treat it better. And it might even become an heirloom. See, that's what happens when people pay a premium for products and services. They want to make it work. Right? If you have a really high-end car, chances are you're taking care of it. Regular oil changes, keeping the paint, keeping it clean. Chances are if you're buying luxury or custom-made anything, you're treating it better. Heck, I'm paying a boatload for my accounting and bookkeeping services, right? And I'm proud to pay a lot for that.
Me too.
Here's the thing. Carol, right? I am not late with anything. I do what she asks me to do. There's no this. I want. She's the expert. I want to make her job that much easier so she can do her job properly. And I don't mind paying for that. But I also talk all the time with her, and I really do believe it's true. If somebody is paying bottom rack rates for anything, well, then it's a commodity. It's a commodity. They can go get it anywhere, right? You might as well use price attraction, 99-cent burgers.
Yeah. And I think to go with what you're saying, not only, like you said, price dictates perception, price dictates cooperation and compliance. And compliance meaning you asking your clients to get you something on time, getting documents on time, paying estimates on time, putting money in bank accounts, all that stuff. The compliance side of, because you get Carol anything she needs when she needs it. I'm the same way. The higher the price I'm paying for something, the higher the compliance. And
I love that. I haven't heard that before. And I'm gonna steal that from you, Michelle, because I think it's awesome. You're right. So if our audience if people are, man, my clients never get back to me. My clients never do this. My clients never do. Well, one, you probably condition them in a way that they don't have to. Two, they're probably paying less than they probably should. Three, they probably know that they can go and get the same exact services next door for the same price, if not cheaper.
Yeah. 1,000%.
No way to run a business.
No way to run a business. But even what I want, and maybe we can end here on this note, is just for each of you, think about where you have a high compliance and you do the things that are required and necessary, and then look at the areas or services you've done where you didn't do it. You bought a program, you did something, and it sat on the shelf for a very long time. Or, you thought about maybe losing 20, 30 pounds and you just took a quick pill and thought that was going to work. But you didn't want to hire the trainer that's $300 a week. You didn't want to invest in like a meal delivery service to help you have the meals. All that, the higher not only the price, right? Price dictates perception, but also the compliance side. And I have a personal story. I'll share it at the end in our recap today so you guys can hear that, because I've literally had a call yesterday on a program that I paid a lot for, and I have very high compliance.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I have a trainer, and it's funny you use that analogy because I share it. And the relationship that I have with my trainer, if I don't show up, if I cancel, I still have to pay for that session.
Heck yeah. Oh, yes. You should pay.
I know.
Yeah. I consult with my trainer and her business, and if you book a class and you no-show, you get charged. I actually think trainers should double the fee. So if you don't show up, Ron, let's say you're paying $100 for your session, and it's a little different personal training than Profit First or a lot of the higher value services that each of you offers your clients, because that's still trading time for dollars in a sense. But if you don't show up and the trainer charges you $200, I can guarantee you, Ron, that you will be showing up all the time, or you will cancel within the 24-hour notice or whatever the agreement is with the trainer if you got sick or aren't feeling 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, Kurt is a reasonable guy. So if I was really, really sick or something happened, he'd be cool with it. I'd probably still pay him because that's how he puts food on his plate, right? I'm taking a spot away from somebody else. But, people are human, and but there needs to be
a consequence.
Yes. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're conditioning your customer to continue to take advantage of you.
Yeah. And that's no more. So, Ron, thank you so much for being here with us on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It is always fun to have you here. And the conversation, you can, the compliance piece you can steal, because the higher the price, the higher compliance.
I love it. And thank you so much, Michelle, for inviting me to be a guest on. And thank you, listeners. If I can help anybody out, all you got to do is take a look at Profit First Professionals. And if you're interested in learning more about us, go ahead and hit apply. I'd be more than happy to learn more about you and share with you what we have going on over here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. See you soon.
What an amazing episode with Ron today here at the Abundant Accountant podcast. It's always fun to have him on, and it's always fun to be here with each of you. And I think today I want to recap it with your prices dictate compliance from your clients. And I have a personal story to share. I actually enrolled in a class. It was about, is It's $2,500 for the first 30 days, and then I'm continuing on for 90 days to do implementation, other things, and it's $7,500. So I spent $10,000. Let me tell you, when you spend that kind of money, you will comply. I will do all the work. I've listened to the lessons more than once. I'm on every single call. I show up with questions. I book my one-on-one calls, whatever it is that you have spent a lot of money on and invested in yourself. I want you to reflect on the compliance that you had for that program, class, education, whatever it may be. The higher the price, the higher the compliance. And also, I truly believe the higher the results. Every time I've had high compliance, and if they promise what they're delivering, so for each of you, we have to also come through on the promise, what's in the engagement letter, what's on the scope of work. But as long as those parts align, there's no reason it's a win-win-win for everyone. It's a win for your client, your prospect, because you know that they will comply. You know they have a vested interest. They have skin in the game. You've got to have skin in the game. I've realized that if you don't have skin in the game, there's really nothing there, or if you don't value it really high on the priority list. And Dr. John Demartini has a great exercise if you go to his website on your values. You know, what do you value right now? If you say you value increasing revenue, like Joe, and he wanted to get to 170,000 in revenue and never have those missed opportunities, and then he goes and does a value exercise where money really isn't that important to him. Well, no wonder he keeps giving away information for free, because that doesn't mean anything for him right now. So highly recommend doing that exercise. It's pretty eye-opening. One of my friends, Sean, who teaches a class on money mindset, actually has you do it. It's pretty powerful. So again, you know, I invest in a class, so you will be seeing some Facebook ads from me because I'm learning how to do that. Finally going to do some advertising in addition to my podcast. And we have this awesome new app, the Abundant Accountant Sales app, that you will be hearing about in the back half of this year. So keep your eyes peeled. And if you go to www.5stepstoabundance.com, not only will you get my 5 simple step process to really turn clients from waiting around to busy season every year, thinking you're going to get busy, to actually having consistent cash flow, and not only having the confidence to ask for higher fees, but you'll also get on my email list. And I only send out 2 emails a month. One is on the 1st for the podcast of the month, 1st, and the other is on the 15th. And the only other time I pretty much will send in emails if I have something new to talk about, which means you will all be notified about the Abundant Accountant Sales app. And it's an app that you can download and send videos and emails that I've written to your prospects to make the whole sales process a lot simpler, because I've done it for you. And this is really how you're never going to have any, not only missed opportunities like Joe had, but really help the conversion side and the client relationship side. So make sure to head over to 5stepstoabundance.com. It was an honor to be here with you, each of you, and I will see you in the next episode.